Good morning, tribe. I'm Dee Bonnie, ER doctor turned marriage coach. And I am glad to be on here with you today because I want to talk about feeling overwhelmed. Have you ever been there? Or do you know anyone who is? Man, I remember back when I went through my previous divorce years ago, and I was a mess, guys. I was overwhelmed. I wasn't making good decisions. I was, in this custody battle over my oldest son, and I just had my head in the sand. I was an ostrich. And so I had like mounds of debt piling up, and I just couldn't even deal with it. I had a spare bedroom in the house that I rented, and I would just dump papers there, and it was horrible. And I couldn't even really go into that room, and it was just a mess. I'm just being honest with you. It was not my finest hour in life. And it was heavy. I was buried under the weight of that. And I was getting calls from creditors and ended up having my house foreclosed on. That's embarrassing, but I'm transparent. So I've made the mistakes. But, I think about any part of our lives. We can get to this place where we just feel overwhelmed. Even if you're not there right now, have you been there before? Where you just can't even see a way out of your mess and you don't know where to turn. So maybe you turn to drugs or alcohol. Maybe you just isolate. Maybe you turn to just ignoring it, acting like it's not there. You go on about your business, having a good time, but you're not really having a good time. And I know that we can get this way in our relationships because I've been there too, where things just seem so huge that we don't know where to go. So we don't begin anything. And I remember my dad gave me some advice back when I was feeling the overwhelm of that. And he said, just deal with a couple of things each day. Just open up a couple of those envelopes and call the creditor up and start making some arrangements. Just a couple a day. And then when you feel overwhelmed, just stop. I think we can apply that to other places in our lives. So I want to give you 3 keys that I have found that can help you get out of the overwhelm, especially in your relationship, if that's where you are. Or maybe this is something that you don't need, but you can tell it to someone else because you see them suffering in this place of just feeling that it's hopeless in their marriage. And so the first thing that I want to encourage you to do is pick something small and do it. Like something that will move the needle. Just pick it and focus on it. Right? Don't try to attack all the problems at once. There's too many of them. The way that you eat an elephant is one bite at a time, right? That's what we're talking about. So pick one key area of focus and then just focus intently on that. As an example, we've talked lately on here about communication. And so, maybe you go back and watch those videos that I shared and you learn about active listening and how you just need to be a better listener in your relationship and see if that starts moving the needle. Right? Where you give up on trying to be understood and you seek first to understand. That's one of Stephen Covey's 7 Habits of Highly Effective People. Seek first to understand, then to be understood. And what if you started incorporating that in your relationship? You're like, okay, well, my husband and I are not seeing eye to eye, but I feel overwhelmed. Let me just adjust my shirt here. Let me just focus on listening better. And just see if I can help him to believe that I understand where he's coming from, even if I don't agree. Let me just focus on that. So that's part 1. Part 1 is just pick something small and focus on it intently. The second part's related to the first part, and that is to actually give it some time. You have to apply whatever you're doing over time so you develop some traction. You can't just listen to your husband once on a Tuesday night and go, well, that didn't work. Well, Dee gave me that advice, and I tried to listen. I was a good listener, and he didn't care to listen to me. Husbands, you can't do that one thing where you're like, okay, I'm going to just intentionally focus on how I can serve my wife better. I'm going to focus on speaking her love language better. And you do it for a couple of days and it doesn't work. We've talked before about that plateau of latent potential that James Clear talks about in Atomic Habits. How, we're doing the thing and we're doing the right thing, but we don't feel any traction happening. And so we just we just give up. We just abandon the project because it didn't work. And yet, had we stayed consistent, because I'm telling you, whatever in your life is not where you want it to be, the only reason that it's not there is because you're not consistent. You do things for a while, you exercise for a while, then you stop. You eat healthy for a while, then you stop. You manage your finances well for a couple of weeks, and then the sale happens and your heart feels lonely and you want to buy something. It's consistency. So the first thing that I recommended was to find a small bite-sized piece in your relationship that you can work on. The second was to apply that consistently for a month, 2 months, right? And you will see it start to move the needle. If you're doing the right thing and you don't have an ulterior motive, you will see that move the needle. And then the third step is get somebody to come alongside you and help. Get a mentor, either one in person, one via Zoom, a mentor from afar. Get a great book or a blog that you can follow, something. Get a mentor. Ideally, somebody that will specifically walk out life with you. I'm biased. I think that best happens with a Christian counselor or a Christian coach. And so find somebody that can understand sort of the root spiritual issues that are going on in your relationship and that can start helping you maybe see those in a different light. I do this at our office in Greenwood, just south of Indianapolis. So reach out to me, d@dbonnie.com, if you want a session in person or online. We can do it via Zoom. And I have a 12-week group. I have a 12-week coaching program that I can take you and your spouse through if that is helpful. But my main thing is take bite-sized obstacles and start dealing with them. Do that consistently, and then find somebody, anybody, whether it's me or someone else. Find someone to come alongside of you that can listen and help direct you. We all need a guide out of the mess. And that's not a sign of weakness. That's a sign of strength, because it's hard to raise your hand and go, hey, we're suffering here. I need some help. That's more difficult than just burying your head in the sand like I did with my bills and not dealing with anything. So find somebody to help you. Listen, I love you guys. I hope this is helpful. Click the share button, please. On YouTube, subscribe. And check out our podcast, Debonnie Ignite Your Marriage, on Spotify and Apple. All right. Have a wonderful day, guys. And I hope that you are going to go kill it in your relationships, but not kill your relationships.